Okay, so last year I made a video talking about 5 underrated characters in Smash Ultimate and had a ton of fun making it, so I thought why not, let's make another one since there are so many fighters in this game that deserve way more credit than people give them. With Ultimate's balanced direction prioritizing buffing bad characters over nerfing good ones, a practice that I for one believe should be followed by any competitive game, a myriad of previously trash tier fighters got measurably better over the years to where the disparity between top and bottom tier isn't as big as in previous games. Like even though Ganondorf is far and away the worst character in the game, it's not like he don't got sauce. He can smoke you real good if you don't respect him. But that doesn't stop Smash players, myself included, from believing that their main is nowhere near as good as people say they are, while at the same time complaining about how broken everyone else is. Because of how close the gap between the best and the worst is in this game compared to previous ones, the term mid-tier is extremely ambiguous. There are like 50 characters that can be considered mid-tier, but with how tier lists behave on relative performance, one fighter could be a mid-tier but be ranked like 30 out of 82, while another mid-tier is ranked 65 out of 82. I think we can all agree that many quote-unquote mid-tiers can be ranked much higher than they currently are, as evident by how often they can really show up and beat your ass. So with all that said and done, let's get into the list, which isn't ordered I should mention. First off, let's talk about the ex-wife, Bayonetta. I have no idea why I called it that. Certainly a far cry from what she used to be in the old Smash 4, people really gave up on this character, I swear to god. Is she a lot worse in this game? Absolutely, but damn do people underrate this woman. In fairness, Bayo received some of the most buffs in the game through version updates, reversing many of the nerfs they gave her after realizing they may have been a bit too harsh on her. Bayo's main strength is and has always been her ridiculous combo game. She can effortlessly put mad percent on you even if you're good at SDIing, and has several tools to make that happen. Up tilt, down tilt, all 3 versions of side B, short hop, fast fall, forward air, up B, some of her throws. Literally half of her kit can transition into the other half of her kit at low to mid percent, and for some reason you always end up where she wants you to be regardless of where you got hit. Even against the air-heavy game many characters have in Ultimate, Bayo's air superiority still remains one of the best in my opinion. Few others, if any, can go blow for blow against her in the air. She is arguably one of the best burst movement options in the game in the form of Afterburner Kick, which can hit grounded opponents if close enough and easily snuff out anyone who jumps a lot, while being deceptively hard to punish due to the sheer distance and serviceably low end lag. Her side B in general is just really damn good, even the downward variant, making her surprisingly hard to juggle too. Another really underrated aspect about her is her defense. While not having the biggest range on the sides of her, Witch Twist is I believe the only up at her shield that's unpunishable, since you can just jump away or do something else to get out if you miss it, on top of having a frame 6 startup and having 2 of them. This in tandem with her APK gives her some of the best recovery in the game in regards to both distance coverage and mix-up potential. Of course, this is offset by how fragile she is. But all in all, it's really hard to keep her trapped in place with the repertoire of movement options, demanding many opponents to score hits on her by usually going for callouts, or with punishing her landing after she burns a lot of specials. Even then, with the frame 1 air dodge courtesy of Vow Within, combos have to be true to work on her, so she has a few unconventional defensive options up her sleeve, making her extremely tricky to fight both in terms of attacking her and defending against her. Bayonetta is a very high upset factor character in my opinion. She's by no means overtuned as her top tiers, but the way she plays and the various unique tools and tricks in her moveset can catch unsuspecting players off guard, even top level ones. And unlike Smash 4 where everyone and their mothers played Bayo, not as many people do in this game, so it's highly unlikely for you to be fresh on the matchup even if you do know it. Personally, I think she's a high tier. I think right now she's ranked 45 out of 82, which puts her squarely in mid tier. But I don't think it's unreasonable to put her between rank 25 to 35. Definitely deserves more credit than people give her. She is not washed by any means. Next underrated character is Corrin. Corrin's another veteran of Smash 4 that got slammed pretty hard with nerfs at the start of Ultimate, almost as much as Bayo. Being slower and more of a spacing and neutral oriented fighter, the universal systems changes in Ultimate were more of a detriment than benefit to them. So they also got a ton of buffs throughout the early parts of the game to help them out. Easily the best thing about Corrin is their effective range without compromising on frame data. When you think of super long disjoints like Sephiroth, Byleth, Ike, and Shulk, they're kept in check by being really slow to start. Anyone who's faster can score a blow on them before they get that chance. Corrin on the other hand has respectably good frame data, particularly for a sword fighter. Forward tilt, up tilt, and down tilt have startups of 8, 7, and 5 respectively, and they also have pretty good smash attack speed relatively speaking. But their aerials, oh god their aerials. Neutral is frame 6 and covers both sides of them with generous range. Forward air is your garden variety sword swing that can actually combo into further aerials thanks to its knockback angle. Back air may be slow frame 13, but it has huge range and auto spaces to be virtually unpunishable on shield. Up air is widely considered one of the best in the game for being as strong as Ike's up air with way faster startup, way more safety on shield, and just as much range. This character can cover tons of space and do it really fast, something that came to full fruition just recently at SmashCon with Shattuck, Lai, and Neo all making it to top 32. A lot of people complain about their poor ground movement and airspeed making them easy to outrun by the majority of the cast, and while that may be true, similarly to Bayo, they have ways to mix up their movement options. Dragon Lunge can be used as a stalling tool and momentum shift, back air like I said, auto pushes them to help out with recovery and to move them out of the way. Down air, while laggy, is one of the more usable stall and falls and can aid in halting momentum. So while they don't have that much conventional speed and movement, they have ways to mix that up and can make them deceptively hard to catch. I feel like the reason people underrate Corrin so much even after the buffs is because they're easily comparable to and therefore replaceable by other sword fighters like Cloud, Chrom, Lucina, and such who either have better mobility or more consistent kill power, but that doesn't make Corrin any less effective. Their unique specials combined with strong practical tools make them one of the more difficult opponents to face in neutral. Getting in on Corrin can be quite difficult, in turn diminishing how exploitable their bad disadvantage and recovery are if you can't even get them in that situation. Coincidentally, Corrin is ranked 42 out of 82, around the same ballpark as Bayo, but they can easily be pushed into the 30 range or even high 20s if people just give them a chance. Speaking of sword fighters, there's Marth. Eric, if you're watching this, f you, your character's broken. But on a more professional note, Marth may very well be one of the most, if not the most underrated character in Smash period. Even though I made an entire Why No One Plays breaking down why he feels so much worse to play in this game than in previous installments, I still think it's a crime for him to be more than 30 spots below Lucina when they fundamentally have the same exact attributes. Yes, having fluctuating strength in his moves does more harm than good, but the moves are still good. Like Corrin, Marth has fantastic area coverage, especially in relation to his frame data. In fact, his frame data is even better than Corrin's, and he has among the best area coverage out of all sword fighters period, with all 4 of his directional aerials being wide arcing sword swings. Ground moves are also wide arcing swings in the form of forward and up tilt. This guy has no trouble out mid-ranging even other mid-range fighters, and his mobility is good enough to at the very least not get overwhelmed by opponents with greater speed. His special moveset is incredibly useful. Shield Breaker is horse to have on a character that forces you to hold shield alive. Dancing Blade may not kill as consistently as Double-Edged Dance, but it's still equally useful for catching spot dodges, whiff punishing, and putting your opponent in a bad position. Dolphin Slash is a frame 5 out of shield option that kills on the ground, frame 1 combo breaks in the air, and is impossible to counter because of how fast it travels, making it so he's already safely hanging on the ledge before the counterattack even comes out. While not as egregious as Melee or Brawl, Marth's grab game is still quite good for a sword fighter. For one, it's the farthest grab range out of all swordies, and tied with Mithra for the fastest at frame 6, he has a serviceable down throw combo game, and really good positional throws via forward and back throw. And though up throw doesn't kill as early as it used to, it still kills. Once more, this is someone who routinely forces you to hold shield, so Marth can get a lot of grabs off. Furthermore, getting tippers may be a challenge for him, but damn if the payoff isn't rewarding. Marth straight up cheats. His Dancing Blade, if you somehow pull off the tipper, kills earlier than even Double-Edged Dance. Forward Smash is among the strongest in the game, which is insane for being tied for the fastest at frame 10 and it can 2-frame. You can just throw it out, and if it lands a tipper, they die at 50. For most players, Lucina kills earlier than Marth, but if you're good at spacing, Marth will most certainly kill earlier than Lucina, and it's not even close. People heavily underestimate Marth, it's actually infuriating. Do I believe Lucina is just a better character overall? Of course, but there's no way Marth is a full 32 spots under Lucina when they have the same exact properties, right down to frame data and everything. I can understand why Dr. Mario is so much worse than Mario because they have very different attributes and movesets, but Lucina and Marth are literally the same character with the only difference being tippers. This character is 35th to 40th at worst, and I will die on this hill. Okay, last sword fighter, I promise. Honestly, I'd be hard pressed to even call him a sword fighter. Next underrated character is Hiro. Hiro is smack dab in the center of the tier list alongside Corrin and Bayo at rank 44 out of 82. Some argue this is exactly where he should be. His utter bullshit specials and freaky mechanics are kept in check by his abysmal everything else. In fact, the only things keeping him from being trash are those very moves. At base, he has subpar movement and really bad frame data across the board. You'll likely never find a reason to have one of his aerials over any other swordie's aerials. And though moves like forward and up tilt are quite good, Hiro definitely has the worst combination of normals among members of his archetype. That being said, the sheer, and I emphasize sheer, game-altering potential of his specials, namely down B, gives him some of the best upset factor out of any character period. These guys are literally carried by bullshit. Kafriz might be the strongest charge shot in the game. A giant multi-hitting fireball that kills you as early as 90 from center stage. Zapple, the second part of side B, is stupid. It does 25%, has amazing range, and is deceptively fast. So many people would kill for just the second part of Hiro's side B. Up B is one of the more punishable recovery moves in the game, but in terms of distance, it's very good and is a frame 7 out of shield option from both sides that can lead into a follow-up on stages of platforms. Not the worst by any means. But okay, let's go through his menu spells. Through menu, you have access to incredibly powerful long-range projectiles, incredibly powerful mid-range attacks, some of the best utility on the planet, like a persistently active reflector, a sleep which is basically a shield break, bonus damage on your next attack, increased damage output, Shulk's jump and speed are put together, free recovery no matter where you are on stage, a luck-based instant kill, and if we really want to go crazy, Hocus Pocus can make you gigantic, invisible, or even invincible. Menu alone would make any character high mid-tier or worse. Imagine if Ganondorf or Little Mac had menu, or imagine if instead of TNT, Steve had menu. He would be stronger than even Brawl Meta Knight or full power Smash 4 Bayo. Menu makes Hiro constantly underrated. Mind you, he's not a high tier. Unlike the first 3 characters, I do agree that Hiro's position of 44 is very reasonable if not optimistic, but I believe he will be forever underrated solely because of his penchant for BSing a lot of games. Final underrated character will be Kirby. Actually, scratch Marth. Kirby is the most underrated character in the game. Poor Thing was ranked 76 out of 82, literal bottom tier, which is just so wrong. Now listen, I can acquiesce that Kirby's complete lack of approach options in a game that's heavily centered around punishing reckless approach is a death blow in some matchups. Under no circumstances do I ever expect him to ever take a set against a good Min, Steve, Sonic, or whoever just because there's no chance in hell you're ever gonna get in on them. That being said, I refuse to believe that Kirby is bottom 10. He has some of the best normals in the entire game individually speaking. Up tilt, basically an infinitely better Fox up tilt, down tilt, almost as good as Rob's down tilt, not to mention Pancake. Dash attack, pretty damn good, forward smash, broken, down smash, broken, neutral air, broken, forward air, broken, back air, broken, up air okay, down air decent. This kid got hands, or rather feet. He can whiff punish so many characters and has fantastic rising aerials. Admittedly, a huge amount of value from his normals is made less so by having really bad specials, which does matter, but the fact that Kirby mains can pull off the results they're getting in spite of having easily one of the worst if not the worst combination of specials in the game just goes to show you having good A button moves can take a character a very long way. So in a way, Kirby and Hiro are polar opposites of each other. Hiro's below average normals are compensated by his broken specials, while Kirby's below average specials are compensated by his normals. I feel like a lot of players simply don't have an answer for Kirby pancaking. Considering the majority of the cast relies on landing aerials to approach, Kirby can flat out hold down and spam down tilt and whiff punish basically everybody, even swordies. And while I still believe his specials are among the worst in the game, they do have their uses. Inhale for cheesy gimps, or against someone with a good neutral B to turn that neutral B against them, and Stone is the biggest middle finger to anyone who has to recover from below the stage and doesn't snap immediately. It bears repeating that I don't think Kirby's high tier or anything like that, but he sure as hell doesn't belong in bottom 10. I would put him around the 50th area or so. But see, that's both the good and bad thing with Ultimate. I don't think anyone disagrees with the top 20 characters. You can dispute their place in order, but like, no one will question Snake being top tier, or Fox being top tier, or Game & Watch, or Cloud, or Palutena. But after that, the remainder of the tier list is just so much harder to ascertain. Take a look at everyone from C+ and below, characters like Lucario, Bowser Jr., Jigglypuff, Mewtwo, Incineroar, K-Rool, Kirby, Ike. It's difficult to justifiably call them bottom tier, but at the same time we can't put 50 characters in mid tier since that defeats the purpose of having tiers. Smash Ultimate has so many underrated fighters purely because of how hard it is to assign them all a numerical value. There are low and mid tiers getting top 32 and top 16 at 500 plus person majors all the time, and those very low and mid tiers pull off huge upsets against top tiers. But anyways, that makes up my list for part 2 of 5 underrated characters in Smash: Bayonetta, Corrin, Marth, Hiro, and Kirby. Let me know in the comments down below who else you think is heavily underrated and why. Aside from that, if you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you left a like and subscribed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my previous underrated characters video if you haven't yet. For now though, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.